It's the International Soccer Preview. We are Soccerphiles Canada. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to the International Soccer Preview by Soccerphiles Canada. I'm Kevin and this is Series 32 on the players of the 2026 World Cup. This episode covers Brazil's players. And we're going to move into Section 3 here. We're going to start that with a quick review of the candidates. So basically everything we just did in Section 2, but in 5 minutes or so. And then we have some orders of business after that, especially injuries, which Brazil is really plagued with during this period. So let's go to the review of candidates. And we're going to begin with the manager there. So manager during the previous Copa America, Dorival Jr., fired during World Cup qualifying here and replaced in May of 2025 by Carlo Ancelotti, who will be leading them through this tournament. A lot of club experience for him, but no international experience. But we'll consider him a definite candidate because we don't expect it to change before the Cup. Goalkeepers, we have a definite candidate in Alisson or Alisson Becker, a likely candidate in Bento, and then three possible candidates. Ederson, who's probably a bit higher than possible, but you'd have to listen to Section 2 for our reasoning on that. Alongside Ederson are two newcomers, Hugo Souza and John Victor. We're not going to talk about candidates at the possible but unlikely level or below, but if you are looking at the YouTube, you'll see their names on the list there. We're going to move up to central defenders. We have two definite candidates, Marquinhos, who is the captain of the team, and Gabriel Magalhaes. I don't know. I've never actually heard it said because he's always called Gabriel. So two definite candidates there. Eder Militao is a likely candidate and three possible candidates. Alexandro Ribeiro, Fabricio Bruno and Lucas Beraldo. All three of those probably to fill 6 positions there. Left back, no definite or likely candidates. The same is true of the right back position, so they're really struggling to find their starter here. Instead, we have 4 possible candidates for left back: Alexandro, Sao Henrique, Douglas Santos, and Luciano Jubat. And similarly, for right back, we have 5 possible candidates. Danilo, who has been the starter in the position for a long time, but is not now. And we have Banderson, Wesley Franca, Vitinho, and Paulo Henrique, the last 3 of those newcomers since the Copa America in 2024. Up we go to midfielders, and for defensive midfielders, we have no definite candidate, but a likely candidate in Casemiro, and 2 possible candidates, Andre and Fabinho. Central midfielders, we have Bruno Guimarães. I might add that we have Lucas Paqueta, the attacking midfielder, coming back sometimes into the central midfield, and we have no candidates at the likely level, but at the possible, Gerson, Joe Linton, João Gomez, and Andre Santos. And then at the possible but unlikely level, we're not doing those. Okay, let's move on then. We'll just swing by left midfielders. We have 1 player at the possible level there, Carlos Augusto. But really we're moving up to the attacking midfield, and for left attacking midfielders we have a definite candidate in Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo would have been a definite candidate, but we're going to see shortly that he will be out for the Cup, Rodrigo. Beyond that, we have a possible candidate in Gabriel Martinelli. Over on the right side, we have a definite candidate in Rafinha, and then likely candidates Estevao and Luis Enrique. And central attackers, we have Lucas Paqueta, again, sometimes playing as a central midfielder during this period. And the intriguing possible candidate, Neymar, you'd have to listen to the section 2 to see why he's just at the possible level. And that's all we have here. But we move up to forwards, where we have no definite candidate, but 2 at the likely level, Matthias Cunha and Richarlison. And then 4 at the possible level, Igor Jesus, João Pedro, Endrick, and Vito Roque. Okay, that is our race through the squad. Let's move on to injuries. We have a lot of business. No, we're talking big names off the squad. Well, big names off the squad is Neymar, having last appeared in October of 2023, but a big name for them. It seems like there are calls for him to be brought back to the squad. We'll see what Carlo Ancelotti does there. The other player, no, that's it for big names off the squad there. Let's move on to injuries because we have so much to do here. We begin with, well, we're going to go from the most likely to the least likely candidates. So we have definite candidate Alisson Becker, the goalkeeper, and he's out with a 4th recurrence of a hamstring injury since mid-March 2026 and an unknown return date there. So we'll put Alisson Becker in the unknown category. Next, we have Rodrigo, out with a cruciate ligament tear since early March 2026 and not expected back until September after the World Cup. So we'll have to put him out of contention. Next, we have Bruno Guimaraes. He's out with a hamstring injury from mid-February 2026, but he is expected back in mid-April. So Bruno Guimaraes, we will put him on the expected back category. Next, so those, all 3 of those were definite candidates. Next, we have likely candidate in central defender Eder Militao, and he is out with a torn muscle fiber since mid-December, but he is expected back in early April. So we'll put Eder Militao as expected back. One other likely candidate is Estevao, or Estevao Willian, and he is a likely candidate out with a hamstring injury and an unknown return date. But he is expected to recover before the Cup, so we can put Estevao in the expected back category as well. Next, we have the possible candidates, 4 of them. The first is John Victor, the goalkeeper, and he's out for knee surgery since late January with an unknown return date. So that's their second goalkeeper there, and both of them in the unknown category. Next, we have left defender Sao Enrique, out with a hamstring injury from mid-March 2026 and an unknown return date. The third possible candidate is the right back Vanderson, out with a hamstring injury from mid-March 2026, but he is expected back sometime in May. So we can put him, Vanderson, in the expected back category. And finally, we have Victor Roque, the forward, who is out with an ankle injury from mid-March, but is expected to recover before the Cup. So he is in the expected back category. That's it for injuries. For now, we'll come back to that in part 2. And let's finish with any closing thoughts. Well, Brazil has really struggled with injuries over this period. There's hardly a player that didn't miss some games over the period due to injury. And as you just saw, some of those injuries are lingering. So it'll be an important section of part 2 to see how those injuries have developed and whether there are any new ones. People are generally feeling that the Brazil squad is a lot weaker than in previous cups. My own feeling is they've actually gone into previous cups with Brazilian fans and others saying that, but sometimes Brazil brings it on in the cup and some of those players become big names because of their performances in the Cup. So Brazil will be hoping for that this time. In fact, they've been fairly stable in their player selection over the past couple of years. The only positions that are really haven't found any starter is the left back and right back position. Danilo, it seems, kind of aging out of the right back position there. So they will kind of continue looking for that. Otherwise, as always, Brazil has a lot of candidates to choose from, playing from the topmost clubs in the world. So that's closing thoughts on Brazil. We're going to finish with a preview of part 2 here. In part 2, we're going to release that when we know what the final squad is, perhaps even the preliminary squad, and we'll go through the list that we created today and let you know which made it and which didn't. We'll focus on any surprises, maybe any players at the definite or likely level who don't make it, or players at the possible but unlikely level or below that do. That would include new players coming onto the scene. There's always a few of those. Very important for Brazil. In part 2 will be an update on injuries, and then finally one of the things we like to do in part 2 is focus on who the starters might be. So stay tuned for that. That is coming up in part 2, and thank you for joining us for part 1 here. We also hope you join us for the other teams we're looking at. We would like to thank Michael Foster and Pixabay for the wonderful music in this mediacast. The title of the piece used is Look to the Sky, Tribal Dance Beats Native American.